One of the greatest pieces of evidence for the existence of the spiritual world does not come from a theologian, but from the cold, calculating corridors of Yale and Princeton. Today, we are going to tell you the chilling yet rigorously documented story of a man of science, an academic who approached the human mind with the coldest clinical skepticism. For him, demonic possession simply did not exist. Every vision was just a chemical imbalance. But one day, the unshakable certainties of modern psychiatry crashed into a reality so dark and so inexplicable that this leading expert was forced to pick up a pen, risk his entire academic reputation, and write a shocking truth. Demons exist, and science cannot explain them. This is the medical testimony of Dr. Richard Gallagher, and what he documented during a secret exorcism will make you look at the invisible world with completely different eyes. To understand the magnitude of this story, you first have to understand who Dr. Richard Gallagher is. A Princeton graduate, trained at Yale, an impeccable resume, a member of some of the most prestigious psychiatric boards in the United States. Gallagher was the man science turned to when it needed to diagnose the most complex mental illnesses. And that is exactly why, in the late 1980s, he received an unusual phone call. On the other end of the line was a Catholic priest, an official diocesan exorcist. Most people do not know this, but the Catholic Church follows an extremely strict protocol before approving an exorcism. The Church is skeptical by nature. Before admitting the presence of the demonic, it requires the person to be examined by the best doctors, psychologists, and secular psychiatrists in order to exclude any clinical cause. The priest wanted Gallagher to examine a woman. The priest's goal was not for the doctor to confirm the possession, but the exact opposite. He wanted the scientist to dismantle the case by finding a medical explanation. Gallagher accepted, smiling with a certain superiority. He thought he would solve the case in a couple of sessions. He did not know that he was about to cross the threshold of hell. The patient, whom Gallagher calls Julia in his clinical accounts, was not an ordinary person. She was a middle-aged woman, apparently lucid and intelligent. But she was hiding a dark secret. She called herself the High Priestess of an underground satanic sect. She was not naive, she dressed normally, she spoke normally. When Gallagher began giving her standard psychiatric tests, the results were shocking. Science was clear. Julia was not schizophrenic. She did not have multiple personality disorder. Her brain scans were perfect. Her IQ was extremely high. Clinically, she was completely sane. And yet, there was something deeply wrong with her. When she found herself in the presence of sacred objects, even hidden ones, she reacted abnormally. But for a materialist like Gallagher, this was not enough. It could have been suggestion. It could have been a psychological defense mechanism. The doctor maintained his professional distance until, during a session in his medical office, something happened that destroyed the professor's academic certainties forever. As Gallagher spoke to her, Julia's behavior changed radically. It was not a mood swing. It was a total alteration of her being. Her voice suddenly became guttural, unnatural. But it was not the tone of the voice that terrified the doctor. It was the information. The entity now speaking through Julia looked Dr. Gallagher straight in the eyes and began telling him his most intimate secrets. The voice revealed the exact cause of his mother's death, specifying that she had died of ovarian cancer, a strictly private medical detail. Then the woman began mocking him for something that had happened the previous night. Miles away, in the middle of the night, the doctor's two cats had suddenly gone wild and attacked each other for no reason. No one could have known that. And yet Julia, the next morning, greeted him with a mocking laugh and said, "How did you like the cats last night?" Gallagher was shaken, but his scientific training forced him to look for further evidence. And the evidence came, incontrovertible evidence. While Julia was in a trance state, she began to speak. But she was not speaking English. She began uttering perfect phrases in archaic ecclesiastical Latin, and then shifted into ancient Greek. These were languages that the woman, who had only a basic high school education, had never studied in her life. Dear friends, in the scientific world, there is a term called xenoglossy, the sudden ability to speak a language one does not know. Many skeptics try to dismiss it by saying that perhaps the patient heard those words in a movie. But Julia was not simply reciting memorized phrases. When the exorcist priest present in the room asked her complex theological questions in Latin, the voice answered intelligently, coherently, and blasphemously, always in Latin. It was a real-time conversation in a dead language. At that point, Gallagher, as a forensic psychiatrist, had to write his report for the diocese. His conclusion was an earthquake for his scientific ego. The patient does not suffer from any known psychiatric disorder. The phenomena I am witnessing transcend the laws of nature. I am in the presence of absolute evil. Julia was possessed, and she needed the Major Exorcism. The church authorized the rite, and Dr. Gallagher was invited to attend as a medical witness. The ritual took place in a bare room. There was the priest, several assistants, the doctor with his notebook, and Julia sitting on a chair. When the priest put on the purple stole and raised the crucifix, beginning to recite the ancient formulas of the Ritual Romanum, hell broke loose physically in that room. Gallagher saw sacred objects fly off tables without being touched. Then the attention shifted to Julia. A 50-year-old woman, physically frail, was suddenly seized by a Herculean, inhuman strength. When holy water touched her skin, burning her like acid without leaving any physical mark, 6 strong men had to fight with all their strength to hold her down, and they could barely manage it. But the thing that forever destroyed Gallagher's atheist convictions happened moments later. Before his stunned eyes, Julia's body rose. She levitated almost half a meter off the ground for about half an hour. Suspended in the air, the demonic voice laughed, mocking those present and blaspheming in such a vile way that Gallagher wrote he felt a spiritual cold penetrate his bones. In that moment, suspended in midair, science had stopped making sense. Gravity no longer existed. The only thing holding the line between life and death in that room was a humble Catholic priest with a wooden crucifix in his hand. The power of Christ was the only weapon left. Why is the story of Dr. Richard Gallagher so important for us today? In the modern academic world, admitting the existence of demons is equivalent to professional suicide. Yet, Gallagher wrote articles in the Washington Post and a book entitled Demonic Foes, openly defending the ministry of Catholic exorcists. As a scientist, he stated, "I am a man of science, and precisely because I believe in evidence, I must believe in the demonic. I have seen things that science simply cannot explain. I would be a liar and a terrible scientist if I pretended I had not seen them." Today, Gallagher is one of the most valuable consultants to the International Association of Exorcists, recognized by the Vatican. This story should not frighten us. It should give us immense, invincible hope. Because if it is true that evil exists, that demons are real and act in the world, then it is equally true, undeniable and real, that God exists. If spiritual darkness exists, then the blinding light of Christ exists too. During the exorcisms he witnessed, Gallagher noticed one fundamental constant. Demons are arrogant, strong, manipulative, but they are literally terrified of the name of Jesus Christ. They tremble before a drop of holy water. They writhe before a Hail Mary. Their strength, however terrifying it may seem to our human eyes, is nothing, absolute zero, before the authority that Christ left to his church. Before we leave you, I want to ask you to do something powerful. Evil hates it when we unite in prayer. Flood the comments of this video with the words of the most powerful defender God has given us against the forces of darkness. Write in the comments, "Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle." If this story has strengthened your faith and helped you understand the greatness of God's power over evil, share this video. May God bless us all.